I want to remind you of the bull in the china shop syndrome. I don't know what it is about human beings, but they really believe that they can set their mind to a thing and then do it. I've spent years listening to people say, "Tell me what to do and I'll do it." Isn't that about right? If somebody would just tell me what to do, how to do it, I would do it. Okay. I'll tell you a little story about this. This is the most famous example of this particular one that I know of. And it's related that once upon a time some people were sitting around dinner and one of the people volunteered to do a thing that wasn't even requested of them, which was that shortly things were going to get a little rough for these folks after dinner was over. And one of the people there volunteered that no matter what happened, no matter what they were threatened with, they would not deny their association with someone who was about to become a rather notorious criminal and strung up and killed. They volunteered to do this. Nobody asked them, did they? You all kind of figured out what the story is, right? This fellow Peter, he just volunteered, no, whatever comes, no matter how hard it is, no matter what people threaten me with, I will not deny my association with you. Isn't that what he kind of, the gist of what he said? I don't remember the exact words no more. I think that's the gist of it. Volunteered to do it, huh? Didn't even say if someone would just tell me what to do, I would do it. Knew he could accomplish this task, isn't that right? And the fellow he volunteered to do it for, apparently, said, I hate to tell you this, but before dawn, you will have done this thing you've promised not to do, not once, not twice, but 3 times. This is how capable you are in reality. And of course, Peter said, no, that cannot be. I will keep my word on this. And we all kind of know the end of the story, don't we? He denies being an associate of the Christ 3 times, and cock-a-doodle-doo, dawn comes along, and he goes, whoops, I fibbed. So I sort of figure if someone like him, because I don't deny that he was quite capable, he sort of proved that as time went along, didn't he? Could be so mistaken about what his real abilities were and be so wrong. I think that's kind of a lesson to me, huh? Maybe that just isn't true. Maybe if someone told me what to do, it wouldn't do me a damn bit of good because I might or might not be able to do it. But that's our perception, isn't it? I call it the bull in the china store, huh? I can just go to it, straight there, and bowl my way through by force of will. And then, of course, I try it, and I fail miserably, and then I got to explain why I couldn't do it, and I come up with all these stories, and very shortly I'm in hell. Because I can't see that that is not the way things actually work in this world. So we're setting up here a rather difficult chore, which is to see if I can get this present in the life, the thing that cross is a symbol of. In the way that we're talking about it now, because as I can say, it can be a symbol of many, many things that intersect and do the same thing, okay? But we're using one particular one. Can I look at every situation and find something good in it? That's the chore that we're setting up, the thing to do. That's the what, huh? Tell me what to do and I will do it. I suspect that you're going to fail miserably every now and again. Does that sound about the way it's going to really happen? That you're going to get in some situation and look and look and look and say, I can't see nothing good in this. Now, if you play that game, I should have been able to. You will never be able to. That is the most likely outcome. Because you're never going to find out why you couldn't. Because you think you should have. You understand? That in itself is a valuable experience. It's a wonderful, valuable experience. If you go into a situation and say, I've got an aim, a thing I want to do, I want to find something good in it, and I can't, then I can look to see why I couldn't. And if I find out why I couldn't, that has become a wonderful, valuable experience to me. You get it? Because now I can do something about that thing that prevents me from seeing good in this situation. I can't do that if I don't know why, huh? So whenever we set out to do a thing, some of the time, yes, it will be easy, if that's the right word for it, and you'll manage to get it done. And some of the time, you will not. And what that means is that there is an obstruction to your doing this, and that obstruction in something like this is an illusion that you have, something that you believe that is not so. And that illusion hides the truth. Because this is not a game of make something up. From experience, I will tell you that I will be shocked if you ever find a situation where there is nothing good in it, because I have never seen such a thing in all the time I've been here. And I've listened to a teaching that is thousands of years old that communicates that for thousands of years people have been looking for a situation that has no good in it, and they couldn't find it either. So I will be a tad surprised if you run into such a thing, since we've been looking for one for thousands of years and haven't found it. Do you kind of get what I'm saying? In esoteric teachings, there is the statement made that is pretty all-inclusive. And that statement is, all is good. No exceptions. So I do believe that in any situation you can find at least one thing, since it may be that everything is good. Surely you can find one of those everythings, don't you suppose? But as far as I can tell, all esoteric teachings include that idea that all is good. It seems to be the exoteric ones, the religions that have bad in them. All the inner teachings say, I hate to tell you this, but there ain't no bad out there. There's no devil. There's no evil one. In fact, there's no evil. Everywhere you look, what you see is good. Man made up the devil. He don't exist. He's nowhere to be found. Go looking for him and you will not find him, because he's a lie. There's no such thing as bad. There's no such thing as evil. Everything is good. And we've had people working with that idea for thousands of years. I think one of them, because some of them are really brilliant people, you know. Not all of them are as dumb as us, and including us in that, okay? Some of them were pretty damn smart folks, okay? And they just couldn't find nothing that was bad. One time, Jehovah's Witness came to the door. I'd never heard them do their whole spiel. I usually got bored partway through, but this person got to it really quick, so I got to hear part of their spiel that I'd never heard before, but we kind of had a little conversation. You know what I am? Yeah. And then they said, well, don't you want to be one of the ones who, when Armageddon comes, lives through the 1,000 years of peace and harmony and wonderfulness? And I said, well, I don't know. I mean, what's wrong with things the way they are? Well, they're horrible. Look at the world that you live in. It's horrible, it's monstrous, it's evil, it's terrible. We need this. We need this to be overthrown and have all these evil people tossed out so us good people can have this wonderful 1,000-year reign of peace. And I looked at the guy and I said, you know, I read somewhere that there is only one being in all of creation that finds fault with anything. Did you ever read that? He said, yeah. And I said, good day. And closed the door. It all looks okay to me. I don't know what you're talking about. It looks fine, just the way it is. And I know who it is that comes along and tells me that ain't so. And I learned a little trick from somebody else that met him out in the desert one day, and I kind of use that one every now and again. Your place is behind me. You serve me. Shut up. I like that trick. There just is nothing here that is bad, except a bunch of human beings who insist that that's true so they can manipulate others. That is about the best way to manipulate somebody, isn't it? Is to convince them they're bad. They feel so horrible about it that they want to change. So we just sort of have been telling that lie to each other for a very long time so that we can con and manipulate people, especially when they're little and they're annoying. That's when we start, isn't it? Instead of looking at a little one and say, you know, you're kind of bugging the heck out of me, we look at him and we say, you're bad. Isn't that right? Instead of telling the truth. Right? You're bugging me right now. That's what we really mean, isn't it? Every time you tell a little kid they're bad, isn't what you really mean? You're bugging me. I've never had the experience of being around them 24 hours a day, so I do not judge this, but I've been around them for extended periods, and I do know every now and again, I just kind of look at them and go, if you do one more thing, I don't know if I can take it. But that's my problem, isn't it? They're just being a kid. What do you expect? So you kind of take a deep breath and say, okay, I can handle this. And you don't got to tell them they're bad, do you? You just kind of walk over there and say, well, just stop breaking things. It sort of bugs me. You know? Like, can't we find a way to play without throwing all the valuable breakables all over the room or whatever it is, huh? And little ones come to the house who, you know, they have this thing that they don't want to wash their hands. I found it's really easy to deal with. Instead of telling them they're bad, you say, let's go wash the hands. And you do it with them. And they think it's fun. Hey, look, I got the adults tag along with me while I wash the hands. Ooh, this is neat. You don't have to scream and yell at them because they're getting a piano, and the kids always want to play the piano. They always want to play it right after they ate, but they don't want to wash their hands first. That rather annoys me. Like the next time I play it, I'm going to get sticky fingers. I don't want sticky fingers while I'm doing that. So, you know, you got to kind of watch them. And when they start drifting towards the piano, you say, "Oh, let's go wash the hands. That would be fun, wouldn't it? Hey, look, I have a step stool. You want to get on the step stool and climb up to the sink?" And it just turned into a fun little game, but it's a lot of work. And I can understand why somebody who has to do that 24 hours a day for 15 years kind of gets fed up after a while.
Does it work when they're 15?
Say that again?
It doesn't work when they're, I mean, I don't know, mine's 3, but I don't think it works when they're 15.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to work. If you haven't convinced them by then, it ain't going to work anymore, that's for sure. But I mean, if you really consider it, that's kind of where the idea of your band comes from, doesn't it? Is you bugged your parents. And they got tired, and they didn't really kind of want to take the effort that it takes to deal with it. So they screamed across the room at you, "You're bad," and tried to manipulate you into it instead of doing it with you, because it's a hell of a lot of work, isn't it? So it doesn't mean it's true. Okay? It does not mean it's true. It's just a con game we play here. I really mean what I said. I cannot judge this situation because I've never had to do it, and it looks to me like one of the most onerous, difficult jobs on planet Earth, and I'm actually sort of glad I managed to get out of it because it looks hard. So, I'm not judging. I just want us to understand. We made up this idea of bad to con people, and it is not true. So when I look at a situation and I cannot see anything good in it, what I'm doing basically is saying that my illusion of bad is so heavy right now that I can't even see what's on the other side of it. You see what I'm saying? All I can see is my own dream and illusion that there are bad things in the world. I can't see past it. So that is an obstruction. That belief that I have that there are bad things is an obstruction. And it would be interesting, instead of then getting upset because I couldn't do what I said I was going to do and so on, to say, well, what is it that I believe so strongly right now that I can't see anything good in this situation, and identify that belief? And then see if you can do some of the other work we talk about to see the illusion in it. It is an illusion. It is an illusion. As best I can tell, anything that interferes with the peace of mind here is a lie. That's how I lose peace of mind, is I believe a lie. When I see the truth, I have no trouble being at peace with it. But when I can't see the truth and I only see some lie that I'm telling self, and I believe that lie is true, I lose the ability to be at peace. So whatever you find, it makes it impossible to see good in this situation, I would at least work on the premise that it may be an illusion and check it out. And that is part of this. That is part of using this to be conscious. Because now I've used this to be conscious of something in self that keeps me from being awake and alive and seeing what is, or haven't I? It is not mistake or taking a wrong turn or being impatient because I couldn't just get there. That is the process. When you can do it, wonderful. Then you can be aware of the situation in a whole different way that you can't do when you're upset. You can't do it, wonderful. Because now you can see an illusion that has kept you from being conscious all your life. So no matter what happens, you win. I like games like that. You can't lose. It's the only kind I play. I don't like the games where somebody has to lose. They're no fun. There are a few games here on planet Earth where everybody wins or nobody wins because you just play them to play them, huh? I don't like these games where you have to have a winner and a loser. I don't like being the loser, and I don't like being the winner, because then all the losers hate me. And I understand why, because I don't particularly like it when I lose either. I kind of prefer to play games like this where you always win. And if you look at it that way and understand that is part of the process, okay? You'll make the effort and you will fail miserably. Now, we don't know, but maybe Peter learned something from his little head trip, huh? Volunteering to do some heroic feat. Maybe he learned something from that. Maybe he saw some illusion out of that whole experience, and maybe that's how come he went on to be such an interesting fellow, for all we know, is because that evening may have really impressed him, and he may have taken a look and said, there is the thing that wouldn't let me do that, and he saw it as an illusion. We don't know, do we? That isn't in the story. But I do like the story because it makes really clear something that we don't like to admit. Just because I can say I can do a thing does not mean I can do it, does it? And all this going around whining about telling me what to do and I'll do it is sort of a joke. And a lot of the times if somebody did tell you what to do, you might well find you couldn't do it. But that in itself has value. If you're willing to look to see what the obstruction to doing it was, then you can get it out. And now you're a little bit closer to being able to do it, aren't you? You removed at least one of the obstructions to it. And I think that's what we're going to find if we actually take on this job. We're going to find we have a lot of obstructions to it, huh? A lot of very good reasons not to find anything good in this moment. And that's part of the process. That's where you use all those teaching ideas you've been given to try and see and understand and work with the self to get that out of there. Does that make sense? I would never go into, oh, that's not true, I have. I would never from this point forward, which probably isn't true either. I don't know. I don't think it's a wise idea to go into something like this expecting just to be able to do it. To be honest with you, I'd expect that I quite often won't be able to do it. And then not be disturbed when I can and just say, okay, I got to get busy now and see what the obstruction to it is. I say that over and over again. Almost every time we do one of these things, I remind you of this, but I'm not sure you really buy it. Okay, this is just the way it works. If you could look at everything and see it as good now, don't you think you would? Would you really choose to see things as bad if you had the choice? I mean, is that what you would normally do, is wake up this morning and say, let's see, I could have waffles this morning, I could have eggs and bacon this morning, or I can have dog turds. And you'd say, dog turds, yeah, that's it, good. Since that's what I got in the house, that's what I want. I don't think so. I don't get why anyone would choose to see things as bad if they had a choice. I think they're sort of stuck with it because they've got some illusion going that won't let them do anything else. And you can work with that if you're willing to. I really don't think it's your choice to walk around seeing things as yucky all the time, okay? We like to play that game. It's forced on me because you're such an asshole. But I don't think it's true. I think we just have so many illusions that we don't know how to look at what you're doing and not see you as annoying. It's a little more reasonable to me. Any questions or comments about that? See, when we started all this stuff, it was kind of said, we're going to begin with looking at what, and discovering all the illusions in the what, because in this culture, it's easiest for us. We have a lot of training in this culture for being kind of willing to admit that we don't see what is going on, and being willing to be trained by experts to see the real thing. Isn't that right? That's kind of okay in this culture to do, isn't it? So we're at least a little willing to go along with that. Unfortunately, we tend to make it very intellectual and never really get the experience of that. We tend to just take the authorities' word for it and feel like we did the job. But we can at least begin there fairly easily. But look at how much resistance has been put up to changing the value system in the last few years. And we did sort of say we're going to have to tackle that one of these days. Both of them are based on illusions. You not only see what is based on illusions, but your value system is based on an illusion. And we've got to deal with both of them. We're going to take the easy one first. Hopefully, if you get good at changing the easy one, you'll kind of get what change is, and then when you got to tackle the hard one, it won't be quite as tough because you found out how to do it. You see what I mean? But somehow it looks to me like the other job just kind of got shoved off in the corner and ignored. And you can't. You got to deal with both of those two things that the awareness does. Seeing what is as it is without illusions, and seeing the value of it. Okay? That's your job. And we don't seem to be too good at changing our value system, do we? We're kind of willing to admit we might be wrong about what's going on, but we're never wrong about what's right and wrong, are we? And what's good and bad. Yes, you are. Because your whole concept of what's right and wrong and what's good and bad and what's valuable is based on the nervous system. And boy, can there be no better judge of that than the nervous system. It was not designed for that purpose. It was designed to tell you when you're dying and when you're not. And what's going on around you. It was not designed to tell you that all painful things are horrible, evil monsters, and that pleasure is something to be pursued as though it were the height of all existence. And that's what we're doing. We judge everything by whether it makes me feel good or not. I have heard so many times throughout this life. Well, it feels right. Yeah, but it's dumb. Well, no, but it feels right. Well, okay, go do dumb things because they feel right. I don't care. You really think that a feeling is the perfect judge of what's a good idea to do? It's never been my experience. And I've sat and watched people do the stupidest things because they felt right, haven't you? What does a feeling have to do with it? They're just as often wrong as all the rest of the stuff you're doing because they're made out of conditioning just like everything else. I've heard that many times. And I've heard the opposite too. Oh, I can't do that, it just doesn't feel right. Yeah, but it works. Well, I know, but somehow it just doesn't feel right. Okay, okay, don't do things that work because they don't feel right to you. I don't care. That's how we judge things. Does it make me feel good or not? It isn't just as simple as, this kind of bestial, can I wallow in pleasure on it? I mean, I know a lot of people that use that as their way out. Oh, that can't be true. I'm not that bestial. Well, yeah. Instead, you go around saying, oh, it feels right. It must be right. And then you do this really nasty thing because it felt good to you. That is the same mechanism in action, isn't it? As it is for those really bestial folks who grovel in pleasure. And it works on a lot of different levels, not just on the one that you claim not to be. Understand? See, because there's a whole bunch of other people in the room who would say, oh, I don't do things based on feelings, I do it on intellect. I reason it out. And I know that sometimes I feel that things are wrong and I think it through. And then I do something stupid based on thought. Why? Because thinking feels good to you. Because we're all different. We all end up getting centered in different parts of the body. And that's where you get your pleasure from. So if you have a really lovely, wonderful thought that just gives you warm fuzzies, then it must be right, huh? And if you have a thought that just kind of makes you go, ew, inside, then it must be wrong. And you're playing the same game just on the mental level instead of the emotional level. And then other people you're making fun of because they do it on the physical level. Ooh, they're just beasts. Like, well, what do you think all those three things are but physical? Do you actually believe that? I don't know. You probably do, actually. So maybe I'm being silly asking this, but do you really believe that when this body drops dead one day, and that spirit goes off and does whatever it does, that what it's going to do is be thinking just like it did when it had a body? Is that what you think? Is that what you believe? As you go floating off, you'll be saying, oh, and then I did this, and then I did that, and then I didn't like that, but if I'd done that, maybe that would have worked out better, and there'll just be all this noise in the ether with you. Right. Folks, that's the body thinking. It won't be there no more when that brain's falling apart. Like, that's not you. That's just wallowing in the body, just like somebody who you get it? That's not you. You really think all those thoughts are going to go on without a brain to think them? I'd like to know how that's going to work. I think that's wallowing in the body just like everything else. But somehow, depending on how you do it, the wallowing in the physical part, that's lowest, right? That's just like bestial. And then, depending on which of the two you admire the most, you either put mind above heart or heart above mind, isn't that right? And there we have another controversy. If you're somebody who thinks that the heart is the greatest thing that ever was, then wallowing in the heart is the highest of all aims. And that's silly to mind, but if you really enjoy the mind, then it's above the heart, isn't it? And it rules all. I love that. I do everything based on pure thoughts. I reasoned everything through. Anybody who watches what they actually do will discover in about 2 seconds flat that that's a lie. That is an illusion. It is not true. It's true when you have about a week to plan, perhaps. But it is not true when you must act now. If you ever notice an event where it needs really a fast response, it don't work that way. It actually works that you do something and then you think about what a great idea it was or wasn't. And the action comes first. And you don't have a damn clue where that action came from if you believe that it comes from reason. Because thought is way too slow. It only works for something that you got at least 15 minutes to think about before you do it, huh? And life isn't like that. A lot of things have to be done now, don't they? You don't have 15 minutes to think about it. We need to come up with a value system that's based on something a little bit more reasonable than this feels good or it doesn't. But that's what our value system is based on right now, and it's in error. It is based on illusions. Many things that feel good are not good for me. Many things that feel bad are actually quite good for me. I don't always know that because of the value system that I have. Is that about right? And we've got to deal with that. Perhaps this will be a way to start. I have a feeling that if you try to do this, you will come across a lot of those values that are inside that say this cannot be good. And we might start to see the illusion of our own value system. Okay. Any questions or comments?
It occurs to me that one has to be in for lack of a better word, good mood to be able to see, to be able to perceive whether things are good or bad.
Hope you're wrong.
You say you hope I'm wrong, or?
Sure. I don't want that limitation. I don't want to say I can only do this when I'm in a good mood.
I think where I was going with that was, if you're stuck in apathy, it's hard to tell if it's even good or bad.
Well, that's a long way from a good mood. Might be something in between good mood and apathy that you could try out.
Yeah.
But that does not change what I'm saying. I hope you're wrong.
No.
There are times when I just get really upset. And to be honest with you, I'd kind of like to do this even if I'm upset. In fact, I'd kind of like to really do it maybe even because I'm upset. I don't know if I want to put that condition on it. I have a funny feeling that you're saying something really, really, really different than the words that are coming out.
So do I.
Okay, well, out with it. What's the real objection here?
I think this one is stuck in apathy now. And,
Good.
and
No, let's just leave it at that. I don't need any explanations or anything beyond that. All right, that's the what is. What's good about it? You could start right now, couldn't you? So tell me what's good about being stuck in apathy.
It's an opportunity.
Well, then you're just bullshitting me that you can't do it under these conditions, because you just did. You guys are so easy.
You did, you screwed up my apathy.
Good. I'm pleased to hear it. Stop thinking so much and start doing a little bit more, okay? Yeah, I mean, you can come up with a zillion and one reasons not to do something. About anything, okay? Just do it. Just do it. That is precisely what I would do. What can I find in what is going on right now, which is a particular state of being, and a zillion and one excuses to sit and rot in this state of being, and whatever description that makes sense to you about what can I see that's good in it, and just start and see what happens. We just discovered our first obstruction. I can't do it because I'd rather think about doing it than do it. In fact, apparently what I'd rather do is think about all the reasons why I can't do it instead of doing it. Could we see that as an illusion? That really isn't necessary, that you come up with all the reasons why a thing can't be done? That you could just sort of try it and see what happens? It's just an illusion, isn't it? It's a made-up obstruction. Let me put this wall here that says I can't do nothing until I've thought of all the reasons why I can't do it. Okay. Hope you don't bump into it too often. But I'd tear it down. That's exactly what we were just talking about. A really good example. That's an obstruction, isn't it? So treat it as an obstruction and look for the illusion in it. Do not take it seriously as truth. Fair enough? Any other questions or comments? I think I'd make a good spin doctor, don't you? Give me anything, I'll turn it into something else before your very eyes. Any other questions or comments? Okay, I'd like to call it a day. That's more than enough to consider for a day. I know it's a little bit early, but I don't care.